Hey lovelies, and welcome back to Kasima, your watering well for all things faith and mental health. Today we're going to be talking about the process of connecting to therapy. So this is information and advice that I've been giving all week. I've been getting phone calls, text messages, WhatsApp messages, random strangers being sent to me asking, hey, how do I connect with a therapist? So I am a licensed therapist. On top of working at a university counseling center, I have my own private practice on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, where on top of seeing people individually, we host groups. And so a lot of people who know that have been asking for information on kind of what are the steps of connecting to therapy. So therapy has become a buzzword recently. It's become something that everyone is more comfortable talking about, more comfortable experiencing. A lot of people are recognizing that there are things in their life that they could use support around, habits, family patterns, cycles, and so they're interested in connecting to therapy. But then comes the actual process of one, understanding what your benefits are around connecting to a therapist, 2, knowing where to find said therapist, 3, knowing how to identify the therapist for you, and 4, actually initiating the process of connection. And so those are the kind of 4 things that I want to touch on today briefly, just so moving forward I can refer people to this video, but then also any of you who maybe have not considered it or were considering it but haven't asked any questions would have the information ahead of time. So before I even get into that, like, why do we connect to therapy to begin with? So therapy isn't a you're broken, come let's fix you process. Therapy is there's something happening in the context of your life right now that's impacting your quality of life. And so you get to be connected to someone who might have an objective experience of you, an objective experience of your circumstances, has skills and trainings around habits, rituals, patterns, and strategies that work around creating the kind of life you're looking to have moving forward, accountability for you, but then also somebody who's going to highlight the things you're doing well and how to help you intentionally keep repeating those habits and patterns, right? And so it's not there's something wrong with you, you need to come see us so we can fix you and then send you back out. It's you're already doing some stuff amazingly well, but stuff is happening right now, whether it's situational, whether it's habitual, whether it's coming up in the context of, let's say, a new relationship, family conflict, financial concerns, recent changes, grief, loss, you name it. And so in terms of connecting to therapy, one, if you already know what your benefits are, whether it's through your employer, through a family member, or through your own kind of private insurance practices, get to know what your copay is going to be or what they cover when it comes to mental health treatment. So some plans are copay based, some plans are deductible based. And so if it's copay based, it's no matter what the cost of the therapist is, the insurance company will take care of everything except this small amount you're responsible for. So let's say you have a $30 copay. If your therapist charges $100 an hour, your insurance is paying $70, you're paying $30. If they charge $150 an hour, they're paying $120, you're paying $30. And so it stays the same regardless of what the base cost of your therapist is, right? So that's copay based. Some copays have $0. If you have that kind of plan, good for you. Some copays are much, much higher. Can be $70 because this is considered specialty depending on the kind of plan you're under. And so get to know that. The best way of doing that is on the back of your insurance card, there's a phone number for customer service. Call them. Sometimes your card already has that information on the front of the card where it says, emergency room, this much. Doctor's office, this much. Specialty, this much. Behavioral health or mental health, this much. And so if your card already says that, then you can expect that that's what you're paying. If it doesn't, you can always call and find out directly from your customer service insurance plan, okay? If you are deductible based, it means you are responsible for a certain amount, and once you hit that amount, it's now free for you. Some insurance plans have a deductible of $1,000. Some of them have a deductible of $2,000, meaning you're going to be paying $2,000 out of pocket, and then whatever else out of that, they will pay for you, or they will reimburse fully. You might still have to pay up front, but then they will reimburse fully, whereas the first $2,000 of services or whatever the deductible is you're responsible for paying for it out of pocket. And so just really be super mindful about that, because it can help you navigate your resources a little bit better, and I'll talk about that shortly. So get to know your plan. Call your insurance customer service if need be, so you can know for sure what you're working with. When it comes to identifying sources for therapy, I mean, firststepspsychologytoday.com, I am listed there. A lot of clients have found me there, which is awesome. There are other places like Therapy for Black Girls. There are other places like, I think it's called Wellness Practice. There are just, if you just go online and Yelp it, Yelp has reviews for therapists, Google has reviews for therapists, ZocDoc has listings for therapists. There's so many platforms and directories where you can find therapy providers. And then also, if you're covered under insurance, on the back of your insurance card, there's a website, your insurance company's website. You can also go through their directory. That way you actually find people who are specific under your insurance plan, your insurance provider, and then also the plan you're covered under. So you're not getting the run around connecting to someone. And so if you already know what that is for your insurance website, go through there. And then you can also use these other platforms which allow you to narrow down also based on insurance. And so what that allows for, when you get a specific list, like if you're really convinced like, okay, it needs to be close to home, you get to narrow it down by zip code. If you're like, nope, don't want it close to here, it needs to be close to work, you can narrow it down to there. If it's in a completely different bar because I don't want anybody to run into me going into therapy, you get to do what you want to do. But you get to narrow it down that way. If you have preferences around demographics, like I prefer somebody who identifies male or female, younger, older, specific gender, ethnicity, sexuality, background, all of that stuff is there. Faith, I'm a believer, and so if you're looking for a Christian counselor, there's a way of narrowing that down. On Psychology Today, I'm not sure about every other platform. They all differ in what information they gather that allows you to narrow down your search. And then once you narrow down the folks that fit the criteria, research them, right? Like on most of these places, they have a profile of sorts. Some profiles are super scant and basic. Some profiles are really verbose. And so read through them. Like, does it resonate what they're saying? Does it connect with you? Do they look like somebody whose mug you want to look at for 45 minutes to an hour each week or however frequently you meet? Go check them out. Like, look at their profile picture, their About Me section, the services they offer, their specialties and training certifications. Most of that stuff is there. And then some people actually list their fee. And so look at if they actually do accept insurance, or they kind of came up in the search, but because they are out of network or because they are sliding scale, they came up. Out of network means they do not bill your insurance directly, but if you have out of network benefits, they would charge that fee. Out of network tends to be a little bit higher than your copay. And so if your copay, like I said earlier, let's say it's $30, out of network might be $50 or $80 or whatever. So again, something to consider. If you really like this person and you're willing to work with them with their out of network benefits, go find out what those are and what they cover before you initiate connection. Sliding scale means they charge you based on income. Some people have a baseline that they work from. So if it's, I scale from, like, you know, somebody might say I scale from $40 to $200, and then they have their way of navigating who gets charged what. So let's say if you're somebody who has no income, unemployed right now, zero income, then chances are you would get the lower end, if it's 40, 50, whatever. If it's somebody who has a well-paying job or great income, chances are you're going to be on the higher end of the scale. And so, again, based on how you really like a person and what services they say they offer, certifications, then you get to kind of put them on your priority list of people you want to contact, but you have a little bit of general information going in. Of course, you can't find out everything from the website. Sometimes they require you to do a free consultation with them to discuss further. And so what that generally looks like, it's like a 15-minute phone call where they get to gauge you, like what's going on, why are you trying to connect right now. But then this is the most important part, you get to gauge them and see if they're a good fit for you. Like, it might sound unorthodox, but technically this is an interview that they are coming for you. You're about to open up to this person, like your most kind of intimate, private, scary, uncomfortable pieces of your life. You get to interview them. Like, I tell my clients the same thing, like, hey, like, have some questions ready about what might make you feel more comfortable if we end up being a good fit working together. And so I've had questions like, how long have you been doing therapy for? What is your training and style in the room? Like, what are topics that you feel are off, like they're off topic or shouldn't come into therapy? What is your comfort when it comes to suicidality or substance abuse? And so, you knowing what you're coming to therapy for, if you've had therapy before, you know what worked, what hadn't worked, come up with a few questions for this person, because then you get to see how they answer you, how they talk to you, how you're going to be relating to one another when you're in session. And then in that 15-minute phone call, you can gauge, I want to talk to you for, again, 45 minutes to an hour because I like how we were kind of bantering back and forth. Or you're like, this person is not for me, not going back, no thanks, next. Okay? So find that out. Go to a listing, narrow down based on whatever criteria works for you, whether it's proximity, insurance coverage, gender, ethnicity, or other demographics, and then come up with a list of people after you've looked at their website who you want to connect with for the consultation. And then during the consultation, have some questions ready for them, knowing that they'll have some questions for you, which is generally, why are you looking to connect to therapy right now? So in one of my conversations with a friend this week, they were like, well, I actually don't have an issue that I'm going in for, but I've noticed that certain patterns keep coming up or certain cycles keep coming up in relationships. That's a good enough reason to go to therapy. Like I said before, it's not that you're broken and you need fixing. It's there's an issue going on right now or something I've noticed that I actually want to work on, and I don't want to remain the same, and I could use support, insight, accountability elsewhere. And so think about it. Or it could be my friends and family keep telling me I have mood swings, or keep telling me that I've been acting funny or weird, or I experienced a loss and I'm really struggling with moving forward after that major loss. Like, you can come to therapy for so many reasons. You get to have it. You don't need it. You don't have to connect, but you get to. You get to create a life you don't want to escape. Like, that is like my life motto with my clients. Like, we get to build a life we do not want to escape. Because the moment we get to the point of having suicidal ideation, it means the pain, frustration, hopelessness, helplessness has become so unbearable. I don't even have any glimmer of possibility left that life could be any different. We get to address things before they get there. And so definitely, like, check in. It doesn't have to be, it's actually causing me major distress. It's, I want to avoid major distress. Like, I talk to couples a lot. You guys have great communication? Good. How can we make it excellent communication? I've talked about this in a previous video, and I'll link it above, where it's, if things are going okay, let's make them good. If they're going good, let's make them great. If they're going great, let's make them amazing. If they're going amazing, let's make them excellent. There's always like layers of increased understanding and quality improvement that can happen through therapy. Even if you're going, whether it's weekly, every 2 weeks, 1 month check-ins, and everything in between, everything more staggered out, quarterly check-ins because you're not finding yourself in any kind of crisis, that's fine. And so you get to really take initiative in your own process and journey, and connect with the person who you feel is going to be the best fit for you. Because the magic doesn't happen in, oh great, this person has good credentials, this person is under my insurance network. It's also, this person in our conversation is a good fit for me. I'm a believer, and so I believe in the power of prayer, and sometimes I pray for God to connect me with the right people. If it's a doctor, if it's a gynecologist, if it's a therapist, a coach, it's like, okay, God, I need this to be the person that can really, again, push me when I'm trying to stay stuck in my comfort zone, hold me accountable with the goals that I'm setting for what by when. If it's for encouragement and uplifting, to also notice the things about me that are working and to work with me to sharpen those things, those traits, those habits, those rituals, and then to call me out in the stuff that is like way, way sabotaging about myself. So you get to have that too. And so if you're a believer, if you're somebody who prays, definitely pray as you get into this process, that God orders your steps in His Word, but also connects you with the people who are for you. Because literally God will, like the person will not pick up the phone or call you back if they're not for you. Like God can do that. And so just trust that you can get connected to the best person. And then like I said, like also arrange your thoughts around what therapy is and isn't. Yes, you'll definitely come in with apprehension. You're coming to talk to a stranger about the intimate details of your life. It's okay to feel uncomfortable, anxious, worried, a little bit shy, and timid. But jump in. Listen, like this, this is an investment. Financially, time-wise, you'll never get that time back. Maximize it. So you get to come in if you need to have an agenda, if you need to have like notes ready, if you have some questions that came up midweek. You get to come in with all of that because you're co-creating an experience to maximize the changes you want to see in your life. So you get to really kind of show up ready and on it. And then lastly, like one of the things that I also like to highlight in therapy with my clients is just because you're not talking about it doesn't mean it's not happening. And so some of us live in denial, as if denial means there's no impact on my quality of life. It's happening. It's noticeable. Maybe you've gotten so good at avoiding and pretending that you don't see that stuff is kind of not going as smoothly as it could be. But if you have any kind of concern, issue, recent changes, worries, overthinking, fixations, you get to talk to someone about it. And it doesn't mean like therapy is going to be a year long or 2 years. It could be like 3 to 5 sessions, and that was sufficient for you. So be it. Check it out. Try it out. Connect. Get honest. Do the work around finding the right fit, and just kind of be open to what can come out of it, so that we can stop, again, like living a life that we don't enjoy or doesn't align with God's word, right? Like He said, I have come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. If your life doesn't feel abundant, joyful, amazing, okay, it's time we do something about it, okay? Hopefully these have answered a lot of questions about connecting to therapy. If there are some questions that I didn't touch on, you can definitely leave them in the comment section below, or you can private message me. I'll be more than happy to respond. And until next time, I will see you at the next video, okay? Later, lovelies. Bye.